All right. Olumide, thank you so much for joining me on Backstories. I really appreciate it. And also thank you for welcoming me into your beautiful family home.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you're happy to be at home.
I will be on Backstory in my family home, so yes.
Yes. So one of the things that I enjoyed when I spoke to you last week, random Thursday morning, about this interview, and I asked you how you were, and you said, I am doing exceedingly well. And I thought, this is going to be my mantra moving forward.
I think I learned it from Tommy Davis, right? So why are you just saying you're well? You're doing exceedingly well, so say so, right? So TD, I got that one from TD.
Okay, so now anytime anybody asks me, how are you doing? I am doing exceedingly well.
Exceedingly well.
Yes.
Especially if you are, so why not say it?
Yeah, so why not say it? I'm like, I really love that energy. I'm like, this is just a very random Thursday morning. This is how it feels. I love that. Yeah.
Thursday is me getting ready for the weekend, so I guess I was doing well.
Yeah, okay. Great to hear. So you're a legend in the startup ecosystem.
Legend, sure.
Yes,
okay.
yes. I mean, everybody knows this. You've invested in a lot of startups, both as an angel investor and now an institutional one.
Sure.
But you started out being invested in by your dad, who I met today, and I had a conversation with him about what this investment was.
Okay.
And he put $30,000 into BlueChip, which was about 5 million naira at the time.
Yeah, I know, right?
I believe.
Yeah.
For 50%. And I asked him why he took 50%, and he said two things. One, I wanted him to know that there was no free lunch, even if he's your father. And then two, he also wanted you to be motivated enough to want to pay that money back.
Sure.
So do you think that that singular investment was catalytic to, where BlueChip is now? I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but what do you think that investment did for you?
Yeah, I think, so how we arrived at 5 million actually was, we figured out, okay, I think I was going to earn, Kazeem and I were going to earn between 120 to 150,000 naira each for a year, and then rent, we said, okay, this is how much we needed to survive. If we didn't make any money for 1 year, right? At least we'll be able to pay ourselves some salary while we hustle, right? And we arrived at add some rent to that and some other expenses, 5 million. And then we said, okay, let's go and meet him. And I think what I was going to meet him for, interestingly, was not just apart, obviously I needed cash, but was to use his network to open doors to certain banks, to certain telcos. Even the name BlueChip was very strategic in using that name, right? To be able to open certain doors. It sounds like a very familiar name already that you know. So we leveraged on, and it's interesting, that's what happens right now. I give people cash and they also leverage on my network too. So the whole idea was to leverage on, well, we needed his cash, we needed his network, and that of his friends and partners to be able to open doors. And I think taking that 5 million from family, right, was put some burden in my head and that of Kazeem's head, my partner, in the sense that we've taken this money, it's for 50%, and we know we want our shares back, right? Because we needed to bring that 50% back so that we could own at least 50-50 or that in the business. So that really pushed us. And the good part of enterprise sales, right, is you're able to close a significant deal if you're able to push forward. I think we closed a very good deal then with NDIC that allowed us deliver that project and had 5 million to pay him back and get our 50% back.
Okay, so BlueChip enterprise company has clients like Microsoft, Oracle, and you got the money back and you paid him back, and then he goes ahead to put it in your brother's company for the same terms, essentially.
Exactly.
Right, and I remember, and your dad is very cool, by the way, and when I asked him about that, he said yes, that it was also the same principle as well.
Sure.
So let your brother learn something too.
And he put it, I'm sure you then put more pressure on my brother too by saying, hey, I've taken the money from Olumide. I didn't have the money. Thank God Olumide has paid me back. Now I can put it in your own business. Well, I'm sure you had the money.
It's almost like rolling funds, right? I'm going to put it somewhere else. But you think him investing in you kind of like sparked the investment bug in you where you thought, okay, maybe now I'm also going to become an investor as well?
Yeah, I mean, like my dad has always, and many people in the ecosystem already know that. I talk about it. My dad is my number one mentor, right? I'd also seen him do the same things in the traditional sense alongside his friends, right?
Yeah.
Invested in different things from the insurance space to the food space to the security space. And in fact, when I was going to start LeadPath, one of the first things I did was to reach out to them to say, I'm taking some money out of BlueChip to start investing in tech companies. But I figured it's still investing, so I'd like to understand. I sat down with them to understand how they invest or how they decide to invest in certain companies. So I think, yes, obviously watching him do some of those things in the background, you don't even know he's having that influence on you, but he does, right? And then you pick some of those things up, and that's what I did.
Okay, and now BlueChip just expanded to Europe.
Yes.
And then you're on track to make about $250 million, I believe, in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's our target, yes.
And so do you just look at all of this, just knowing what the origin was and how how everything started? Do you look at what's currently happening right now with BlueChip and think, wow, is this for real?
I know I do, right? And many times I also think about how some random events in life, right, just change your trajectory. I remember when I finished business school in 2006, right? I started thinking of, hey, there was a period where the UK had stopped this post-study visa. So before you could get, I think, a year or two post your masters and you could get time to work. And I was like, man, they had stopped it, but I still went ahead to apply to certain jobs in banks and oil and gas companies, and they will say, do you have a requirement to work? I'll just feel yes, feeling that if I blast this interview, if I do very well, they will still want to take me and apply for me. And I got to the end stage in one of the big banks, and they said, and I was finished top of that cohort, and they were like, but you don't have this permit to work. So, and one of the reasons why I moved back was because I couldn't stay in England, and I moved back, did some consulting jobs, did a consulting gig where I met Kazeem, and then started BlueChip. So sometimes I play those parallels, right? That what would my life have looked like if I'd gotten that job? I'm sure I'll probably maybe be vice president or somewhere or CIO or something in the IT department of maybe one of the big banks, and probably do well. But I think moving back obviously then gives the opportunity for impact and outsized returns, which sometimes, yes, I do pinch myself to say, wow, look at that trajectory. A small moment like that changed, and it gave birth to what is now BlueChip today. So yes, you do pinch yourself, but I think it also gives you that sense of that burden to want to do more, right? Especially when you started very early. I was 24 going on 25 when I started, right? So it's almost like you need to keep pushing, right? No, you just need to keep pushing, thinking about what's the next big thing. Like now I'm already thinking, okay, what next, right? What next? So I have to keep that question, what next? I also have to keep asking myself that question of what am I not doing right now? I think everybody thinks about what you should do, but I always ask myself, what am I not doing right now? And when you ask yourself that question, it changes the way you look at the next thing to do. So I always ask myself, what am I not doing right now?
And recently, when you've asked yourself that question, what are the answers that are coming up for you?
Well, the answers that are coming up are around, I think there is a big opportunity, especially with the pandemic, of getting more resources, Nigerian resources, to work in offshore companies. I mean, it's very similar to what Andela is doing and was started out, but this time focusing on key verticals around data professionals and analytics, customer centers and customer support. Because English is a bit toneless, our time zone is favorable to many parts of the world. How do I accelerate that, right? How do I, if there's anything we have is young people, right? I always tell this story about me going to a restaurant and I met this young man called Daniel, who was the most well-spoken waiter I'd ever met, and asked him if he had played with a laptop before, and he hadn't, but he had played around with the computer in the office, in the restaurant, and asked him if he liked math, and he said he liked math, that one of his best subjects. And I invested in him going to semicolon, which cost about 3 million naira, give him a laptop and a meal a day. And Daniel, I think, was earning the equivalent of maybe 40, maybe about $100, and he's been able to almost 10x his income in 1 year, right? And change the trajectory of everything for his family and so on in 1 year, just by investing. His own talent. All I did was just support, but investing in him. And he will then hopefully go ahead and pay it forward. And we have many Daniels. How do we get 10,000 Daniels and push them out to the world? And we have the young people. So that's really, when I ask myself, what am I not doing, is I need to find 10,000, 100,000 Daniels to push out.
I mean, I think sometimes when you think about things like that, it's like, well, that happened so that this could happen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Connecting the dot, looking backwards is very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so I read that you became a business.
You've read a lot.
I did some really good research on you, some enjoyable research.
Okay.
I read that you became a business child, and I say business child because you were 12 years old, and fact check me that you said you had gone into your dad's office and there was a computer there, and you just fell in love with it, and that was where you spent a lot of your time. And the next thing you know, you had this idea to start selling pre-registered Hotmail and Yahoo accounts to people. And when I was reading that, I was thinking, what was I doing at 12 years old? I was probably running in the rain somewhere. Like, how is that a thing you contemplate as a 12-year-old?
I think I figured that there will be many, like I had cousins, right? Ife, Temisa, and so on. And I figured there will be many of these kind of folks out there, right? So I needed to quickly register their email addresses with their name so that they can have that taken. And so when I've registered your email, if you want to register it, you can, because I've taken that name. So now you have to pay me. I think I was charging people 100 or 150 naira for that. And those days of dial-up internet with link server and Hyperia, where you connected the CPU to your modem, and all I did was just engage the lines all through and just start helping people register. I think all I was thinking then was I need more money, right? In fact, I contemplated, apart from even registering the email address, my cousin, friend of I mentioned his name, Temisa. I remember, I think we were probably by 14 or 15 during one holiday. We actually done conductor and bus driver work before. Let me put it on on backstory. Okay. So we used to live near Ajawa Estate, near the airport, and so I took myself. We were on holiday. I was in boarding house. So came back home for holiday. My dad had bought this bus for my uncle, and he had put the bus in the house to send it to my uncle in later on for his transport business. And we saw this bus. Why is this bus just sitting down in the house? And we couldn't really drive, but we said, let's take this thing for a spin. Those days you had said learning how to drive, move a car forward, move it backward. And we jumped in this car. I was the driver, Temisa, my cousin, was the conductor. And we jumped in this bus and we picked up passengers to Oshodi from Airport Road. So Temisa was shouting, Oshodi, Oshodi, Oshodi. Our passengers entered. You saw two young boys with an unregistered bus, and you still entered. Yes. And then we got to Oshodi, we picked up passengers, even gave area boys money, then did the U-turn to come back on Airport Road. And then that's how Temisa said, okay, he now wants to drive, that I should come and do the conductor, because he had seen the trail that I got. I said, I was even better at driving than Temisa at the time, but he said, no, you must drive that. She needs two of us that took the car. So he jumped in the driver's side, I became the conductor, and this guy just started speeding on Oshodi, heading towards the Airport Road. So I knew all those bus stops, Charity, 7-8, Junction, and people were coming in, and we made money. We took the money. We went to eat pepper chicken and drink juice in Ajawa Estate, and that was my first pulse of entrepreneurship. So yes, I guess it's always been there. Thinking about, I think we told our parents this thing just a few years ago. And really? Like, what if we had died, right? Yes, and what if we had killed everybody? Yeah, but hey, we are here, thankfully.
You succeeded. That's such an interesting story as well, because I mean, for young people that age who just feel like, look, you can take whatever risk.
Please don't take any car in your house, please. Don't take any car in your house and say, Olumide advised you to do the same at 16, please. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's interesting to see that, you've had like a trajectory, right? You've done several things, and now fast forward a couple of decades later, or a decade later, You've invested in over 100 startups, including PiggyVest, Paystack, Mono Team Apps, etc. Right? What's your investment thesis? Like, what are you thinking about when you're making the decision to invest in a startup or a founder?
And do I like you?
Okay, that's what it comes down to.
It comes down. Yeah, it comes down to the entrepreneur, right? It's always about the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the one who's going to build that product. The entrepreneur is the one who's going to take it to market. The entrepreneur is who chooses what to build. I also study markets a lot. So for me, the perfect moment, and I say this a lot, Akola and I talk about it too, is I look at Latin America. I look at India, for example, right? And I put them maybe 5-10 years behind what we are doing today. So where we are now is probably where they were 5-10 years ago. And see some of the kind of companies that were being built then and what they look like now. It makes you see, you can actually draw that line, right, to see some similarities between those companies. So certain edtech companies will just have to exist. A payments company like Paystack had to exist. So certain companies have to exist in every ecosystem. So I've seen those verticals and I've seen those plays. And then I now come to Nigeria and I meet a solid founder building in that market that I had pre-identified because of my looking at those markets looking at LATAM and India. So for me, when I'm seeing that guy or lady, I'm just thinking, hey, finally, I've found someone who I think is the perfect match to build this company that just needs to exist, right? And that's the good part about investing now in Africa and Nigeria, because you're investing in certain fundamental companies and important companies, right? Like a company like Paystack is systemically important for payments and so on. And that problem is solved. Someone else will solve something else. But we're able to back that company at the time we did. You're not going to back another one like that. So I feel we're very, very lucky. And when I find those entrepreneurs that I like, that I think have that resilience and grit, very, very hard to tell initially, right? So you're now talking about, tend to talk about experiences, right, for me. So when I'm I look at decks, but when I'm talking to founders, I don't look at decks, right? So sometimes I'm doing calls and they're like, I want to go through my, I'm like, no, don't leave the deck, because the best work of fiction is inside those decks and Excel sheets, right? Nothing there is ever going to happen. Most likely, it's true, this will grow 50% month per month. It's not going to happen, right? So let's focus on you, what you've done before, what risk you've taken on yourself before you're asking me to take a risk on you, and those are the kind of, I get to understand the kind of person the entrepreneur is. So for me, it's founder first. I'm the founder first guy. Okay. Actually, at the angel stage, right? Yes. It's founder first. Okay.
And you were one of PiggyVest's early investors. I remember when I was having an interview with Odun, and she had mentioned that you were their first check, essentially, right? And you had also invested in Push TV, which was one of their early startups before PiggyVest. What was it about them that you thought, okay, I'm going to invest in them? Because I've also heard you say that, look, if Odun decides today that she wants to go build an edtech company or go into agribusiness, you're still going to invest in
Sure.
them. So what was it about them that made you invest?
When I met the team in 2014, 2015, what the pitch to me then at the time was Push CV, right? And the whole idea then was they were trying to be different from the existing players in the market by doing pre-screening of candidates first before pushing them to employers, which I found was different and interesting. But what I found even more interesting was the dynamics between the team. I think there were about 5 or 6 of them who even pitched at the same time. All went to Covenant University, had built a long-standing relationship, and everybody owned something, right? Josh was handling marketing, something was building the product, Odun was with operations. So you had already seen that they understood each person's strengths and who was going to focus on what. And it comes back again to, Push TV died, but then they went ahead to build PiggyVest. And it then comes again back to the founder. Like if I'd focused on the team, if I'd focused solely on, hey, this recruitment space and so on, whatever they were building, they died, right? So it's the founding team that then ends up saying, okay, no, this thing is not working? Do they have the ability to iterate and pivot to something new? What's the ability to build, right? And that's why I like technical founders too, or technical teams, right? Because you can will something to happen and build it once you want it, as opposed to trying to raise money to go and build that. I think for me, it even emphasizes the point why you need to focus on the entrepreneurial team that you're backing. So for me, I saw the dynamism in the team. I saw the ability they had, their unique views in looking at problems, and how they were going to roll those things out to market. Like everything they do is well thought out, right? You can see the thoughtfulness that even goes into how they build products and push it to the market.
Yeah, I agree. And around the time you're investing in them, you're an angel investor, and now you're institutional. You launched Voltron Cup, which you describe as defenders of Africa's tech universe.
Well, from the cartoon, right? So
yeah. So why did you make that transition there from angel to institutional?
Okay, so I mean, when I took money out of BlueChip to start, the whole idea first was lead path, right? So lead path was going to almost like an SPV, and I just wanted to copy the Y Combinator model, which was take 25K, put it 3 months, 25K for 10 to 15%, put it 3 months in each company, get a demo day and have follow-on investors coming at a higher valuation. But the key problem then was, how do you find the follow-on investors in Nigeria in 2014, 2015? There was nobody to follow on, right? So after 3 months, you had seen some progress the company had made, but nobody was going to write you another check to that company at $1 million or 500K. So you had to write another check into that company. So we quickly saw that accelerator type model wasn't going to work, right? And so we just figured, hey, we'll just start investing more like portfolio management. So Lead Path just became that vehicle that we used in investing. I started investing in different companies that I liked, right? So I say company I like, don't necessarily have to come to the accelerator. I like you, I like this founder, and then I go ahead to back it. And then, I guess with Paystack exit, FlutterWave's $1 billion, some successes from PiggyVest and the likes, folks started asking me, hey Olumide, the next time you're investing, carry me along. Folks from the Polo Club, folks from corporate Nigeria. And I really never wanted to run a fund.
Yes.
Right? I don't find managing a fund the most exciting thing to do. I still run BlueChip. And I figured, okay, let me do a small fund with folks I know, but then find a platform that can manage the whole headache of contracting, receiving money, accounting, and all that. And I found the angel list to be able to do that. And that was the easiest thing for me to do. All I had to do was do what I was good at, which is finding companies and exposing my deal flow. And so I set up Voltron Capital to end up doing that, because I was already doing it in a way, right? Because when I was even investing as an SPV, I was trying as an angel, I would see a deal, maybe a founder is trying to invest 200K, I'm putting 50K. I'll say, hey, Fatu, there's this deal, put your 50K. Hey, Mr. X, there's this deal. So in a way, I was already doing that, right? So I said, okay, let's formalize it with Voltron Capital, and that's what I ended up doing.
So do you think the difference between why Voltron Cap is successful and Lead had some headaches was also a question of timing as well?
Yeah, I think obviously timing 100%.
Yes.
But interestingly, one of the biggest portfolio in terms of valuation increase and return for us has been investing in PiggyVest as lead path. So, and because we're early in the ecosystem there, where you could have double-digit stake in the company, it turns out being very, very interesting. So yes, lead path worked for the time because that was the model. Even most folks started with Ventures platform, also started out with that same accelerator model. I think we had to go through that as an ecosystem, right? We had a lot of accelerators and incubators, and as companies matured, different types of investing vehicles were then required to move through.
Okay. You describe yourself as a lucky guy.
Okay.
What makes you lucky?
I say lucky because I understand I've been privileged to, like I said, to have a father who had the resources to even be able to invest in me. I didn't choose it. I didn't work for it, right? I was lucky to be able to do that. And I think I've also been lucky to be able to be playing in the market at the time when we did and had the resources to be able to be part of that early ecosystem, right? It's not, if today, if I came in and I had that same opportunity, it won't be the same as 2014, right? So being there, I talk about luck from the sense of being ready and being available there with the resources and at the right timing to be able to take those bets, and that's really what I was referring to as luck.
So Olumide, you are married now, you're a father now. How has that changed you as a person, an investor, and a businessman?
I think the first part is the person. I mean, when you experience such like new life, right? It was just two of you, and now there's a little one who didn't ask to be in this world, and I think it changes more if it's a daughter. So there was a day where it hit me really. There was a day where I looked at my daughter, and I looked at how I was living. Like, in the time when I'm in how I was living, like fitness, weight, drink, going. You just start thinking, hey, this girl didn't ask to be here, so you better get your health in proper shape. Like before, you have been kicking it down the road. So I cut down carbs. I stopped eating carbs. I don't eat carbs anymore.
Oh, wow.
At least for now. I've dropped about 14 kg. Okay. Stopped drinking beer. Okay. I still drink the odd beer on the weekend, but just to lose weight and be more fit, stay healthier. And I think seeing my daughter just made me, and my wife now tells me that, so when it was just 2 months, you were ready to die. So it's not that you have a daughter, you're not ready to die again. I didn't want to die before, but it just puts things into perspective in terms of, it just changes you, right? I've seen some research about how the brain actually changes when you have a child. So I think that's really, it puts life into perspective, right? Better. I mean, when you're married, it does change your perspective, but I think this also goes further in changing that, and I thankfully it's for the better.
Okay, so quick fire. I asked 2 of your friends to send in questions for you. Okay. One of them is from Adun, and this is what lawyers popularly refer to as a leading question. Okay. She asks, who is your favorite founder and founding team?
Well, why is she asking it? Okay, it's the PiggyVest team.
Okay.
I talk to Odun to almost every. I know I don't go to, when I call Odun, I don't go to her. I don't go to the contact card. I actually just that 0809. Oh, let me not call her number out on this. I just that 0809 and then boom. I don't even go to my contact card. So yes, obviously. And I mean, in terms of return and in portfolio return, I think that gives me the biggest ever return in the ecosystem. Yeah. Okay. So of course they have to be your favorite. Okay. Other one is from Kola, and of course you asked him a question in his own interview, so now he's returning the favor. And he asks, in business, life, love, and sports, what do you enjoy more, the chase or the win, and why? In business, life, love, and sports, what do you enjoy more? For love, it has to be the win, right? I can't talk about chasing again. But I think it has to be the win, because with the win, right, you're able to also celebrate. I find that I'm able to celebrate that chase too, right? And we talked about connecting the dots backwards. So think about, hey, how did we get here, right? And we celebrate those moments, especially with the wins. You talk about, hey, at the times when it nearly died. When the chase then is not interesting to talk about. So I think for me, yes, is obviously enjoying the wins. Enjoying the wins. Yeah. Okay. For sure. Okay. And then my question is, your Twitter bio reads, work hard, play hard. What are the ways you play hard? Okay, yes, I got that one actually from my dad too, because he used to say, when you want to walk like there's no play. And when you want to play like there's no work. And the ways I play, I mean, I used to go to Miami every year, right? Since maybe 2009. So Miami is we call it our workers' retreat. Myself and my friends will go to Miami. I don't use the sat nav in Miami to tell you how much time we've spent there. So yes, I mean it's. I used to party a lot in Lagos when I had the party. So yes, I play. Most times it's polo club or traveling. And when I travel, yes, I do.
Well, Olumide, thank you so much for coming on Backstories and welcoming me and my crew to your beautiful home. And of course, I got to meet your father, which was very special. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I enjoyed myself too.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.